Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness warning to gun smugglers. We know who you are. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 12th April 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. At the Little London police station in Westmoreland, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness issued a stern warning to people involved in the gun trade that the authorities know who they are and would leave no stone unturned to bring them to justice. TVJ's Anthony Lugg has that story.
Too many illegal guns are coming through our legal ports.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing issues of national security in Westmoreland on Thursday. Between January 1 and March 31, the police seized 223 legal firearms. That's a 14% increase over the 195 seized during the same period last year. But despite the success, concerns continue to grow about who's responsible for bringing illegal firearms into the country.
We know the people who are doing it. Yes, write that statement down. We know, but we're not going to go after one little person. Our strategy is to take down networks.
80% of Jamaica's homicides are committed by the gun. And Mr. Holness insists a strategy is being crafted to remove the profit out of crime.
We want to get the customs officer that is facilitating the gun coming through the border. We want to get the man that works in the bank that is allowing the currency to be transferred either into the country or out of the country. We want to get the person who is hiding the guns.
The Joint Anti-Gang Task Force, which was recently launched, has made several arrests and seizures since it was rolled out in February. Mr. Holness says much more focus is being given to intelligence and evidence gathering.
For the parish of Westmoreland, I appeal to the people, cooperate with their security forces. The people who we have put here to lead the security forces, they have special directions. Those who are the bad apples, they will be moved. And they will be prosecuted when we have the evidence on them.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Pill parties and the consumption of edibles, new trends which the police say are causing mayhem in schools, especially in St. Catherine. Kelisha Williams has that story.
First, there were guard rings and school fights.
Antigua and Barbuda's government's latest move to remove COVID-19 restrictions is in line with the fall in infections. More in this ABS News story.
Cabinet says it lifted requirement at its meeting Wednesday following talks with hotel stakeholders who had previously asked the government to keep the measure in place.
They were of the view that the maintenance of those protocols gave them a marketing advantage in the sense that Antigua would have been perceived as a more safe environment, and for the time being, it had acted as a point of attraction for them. However, the Minister of Tourism did indicate yesterday that they are now prepared to work along with the government and relax those conditions.
The government had earlier removed the requirement for the country's nationals and residents, but has now lifted it for all incoming travelers. Nonetheless, travelers might want to keep their vaccination certificates close by, since unvaccinated passengers must still present a negative PCR COVID test on arrival. This test must be taken within 4 days of boarding their flight. In the meantime, Minister Nicholas says the government is keeping a watchful eye on emerging COVID strains, including the latest Omicron subvariant XE.
We keep looking at it, but we have not yet seen any inflection in the number of persons who are reporting being affected. And certainly there's no evidence yet that that particular strain is unsure. Of course, we did note yesterday that there was a significant spike in the number of infections in neighboring Barbados. And as you know, the local saying goes, when your neighbor house is on fire, you wet yours.
But he says if Antigua and Barbuda does see an increase in cases, it will not shut down the economy or reintroduce any other drastic measures.
2 teachers in Barbados are facing disciplinary charges following their candidacy in the January 9th general election.
Barbados Today understands that Alwyn Babb, a teacher at the Lester Vaughan Secondary School, who ran on a Democratic Labour Party ticket in St. Peter, and Pedro Shepherd, who flew the DLP's flag in the St. Michael South East constituency, were served with letters from the Ministry of the Public Service this week, informing them that disciplinary charges were laid against them and they would be sent on leave with half pay from Wednesday for a period of 6 months. General Secretary of the Unity Workers Union, Caswell Franklin, who indicated he will be representing Babb, contends the teachers are being penalized for exercising their constitutional right to run for a seat in Parliament.
There is nowhere in the Public Service Act that says a teacher cannot run. The Constitution bars 3 offices from running. The office of a judge, person who holds that office, Director of Public Prosecutions, and the Auditor General. In 1974, the then Prime Minister brought amendments to Parliament to remedy that. He wanted to include other public officers in that group. And he made provisions in the Constitution that Parliament may prescribe other offices that cannot run, because only Parliament can do it. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that they breached the general orders. There is nothing in the general orders that say a teacher cannot run. There's nothing in the general orders that say permanent secretary cannot run.
Still on Barbados, tourism officials there are very concerned about the steady decline in visitor arrivals from the region for the past months. Although they hope that with crop over just around the corner, these figures will improve over the July-August period.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Rudy Grant, said since the collapse and subsequent restructuring of Caribbean airline LIAT, there has been a dramatic fall-off in visitor arrivals from the region.
The regional airlift is challenging. It is nowhere close to the airlift that you would have had in 2019. A lot of that is due mainly to the fact that LIAT, as you know, has gone through some serious restructuring. And the additional airlines that have come in and the seat capacities that they bring has not been able to replace the LIAT seats. So we do have a challenge there. The Caribbean arrival numbers is in the vicinity, I think it's 11.6%. Those are that's the percentage share of arrival numbers. Pre-pandemic, that was around, I think, 15%. It was that market and the Canadian market, they were pretty much the same. So we have seen a decline in the Caribbean market, and that is due mainly to the fact that the air seats coming into Barbados are not as high as they would have been before.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Plans for St. Lucia's Carnival 2022 are progressing but still dependent on the green light from the health authorities. Culture Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire says the plan is to establish St. Lucia's Carnival as second to none, but with tight restrictions in light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
Minister for Culture and Creative Industries Dr. Ernest Hilaire says plans remain very fluid for hosting St. Lucia Carnival 2022. Previously, the minister revealed that a, quote, vax mass, unquote, would be in a controlled environment, which would impact the traditional carnival route. Since then, COVID-19 protocols have been relaxed, causing the government to put multiple plans in place for the hosting of the event, which would hopefully see a return to the grand spectacle that is St. Lucia Carnival. According to Dr. Hilaire, the anticipation is to have a carnival experience that is second to none.
We have all the plans in place for a Vax Mass. We've spent a lot of time. When we first announced we were doing Carnival, a few people thought this was irresponsible, it was careless. But we took our time and we put in place all the plans. We even got all the technology that we need for entry controls, whatnot. But the world has changed a lot since then. Circumstances are constantly changing. Protocols are changing. And we're not sure exactly where we will be in July. So we're now going into Plan B and Plan C, and Plan C might become Plan A. It's very fluid, but it's also very exciting because it's really bringing out all the creative thoughts and all the organizational planning, and it's very exciting. The hope is for us to have a Lucian Carnival that nothing is sweeter than that, to really put forward the best Lucian Carnival we can. St. Lucia is developing a brand that focuses a lot on the parties and the experience of Carnival and the parade experience as second to none. And we're really hoping we can sell once again to the world parties that are really second to none, and a street experience for the bands that is second to none.
Dr. Haley reveals that the government is working closely with carnival stakeholders and public health authorities to ensure that the event is a success.
We've been having constant meetings. This week, we have another set of meetings this week with Calypsonians. We're setting up the secretariat for the organization of Carnival this year. It will be located within Events Company of St. Lucia. I spent the morning discussing with Events St. Lucia and different stakeholders the setting up of that secretariat. I'm meeting with the CAISO fraternity tomorrow. So there's a constant interaction taking place. We really want to put on the best carnival we can within the circumstances, of course. But we're also thinking long term because this brand has to continue to build. And even whilst we're planning for Carnival, we already signed to plan for Emancipation Day, which we're hoping this year will be the biggest celebration of Emancipation Day we've ever had in St. Lucia. So I'm already shifting from Carnival into Emancipation Day and Journée Creole and Creole Heritage Month. So there's a lot of excitement and a lot of planning and work taking place right now.
Dr. Hilary's comments came before Monday's Cabinet of Ministers meeting. For the DBS News World, I am Jason Darius.
The United National Congress in Trinidad and Tobago is calling on citizens to stand up and speak out against the latest increase in fuel prices announced by the Minister of Finance. Speaking at the opposition's weekly Sunday media news conference, one opposition MP condemned the move, which she says will add to the immense existing stresses faced by the population.
You have additional costs because you have to purchase uniforms. You have to purchase additional groceries to prepare meals for children. Transport costs will increase. This morning, I support the call made by the Leader of Opposition for a one-off uniform grant to be made available so parents can send their children back to school. The government is telling you, ban your belly. Just a few days ago, Imbert said, things nice, the economy is thriving, things going good. Then a few days later, he comes and he increases the fuel price. They have increased the fuel price. It will impact on the price in food. The Supermarkets Association, the Chambers of Commerce have already been telling us what the effect will be.
She says the money spent to fill the tank of your vehicle in 2015 will on April 19th purchase less than half of that amount. That's why she adds the opposition is calling on citizens to stand up and speak out against this latest announced increase.
We have pensioners who might lose their pension because the Minister of Finance find they living too long. Right foot, left foot. Food prices going up. Right foot, left foot. They are coming with property tax. Right foot, left foot. They have increased gas prices yet. Again, and right foot, left foot. We have not rioted yet.
Cindy Raghubatika saying, TV6 News.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.